Hey, Pete.
Hello, Cole. Hello, everyone. Today, depending on when Colby gets this out, is Thursday, February 1st, 2024, which means it's been 852 days since Greg Norman, the Shark, I think, met in a shadowy back office and created the need for the LIV tour, 240 days since the PGA decided to merge with the LIV, and roughly 30 minutes since Rory McIlroy last sat atop his high horse with sweet, salty tears in his eyes. All of that leads to this. That to this. Bad decisions, false starts, coming together, talking about golf. So that's this. And Colby, what is this?
So, Pete, I'm glad that you brought all that up,
Thank you.
that specific rant. But yeah, that is this. And we're happy to present
This is that.
this podcast called How We Live. And this is a podcast specifically driven by, frankly, a couple of guys that have no place really in the industry to be talking about anything in the industry. Just a couple of weekender warrior golfers out there. But we decided that it was time to kind of showcase what LIV Golf was really all about. Obviously, driving in the fact that John Rahm joining the league at the end of 2023, really causing a riff amongst the ranks and not really giving it the time of day or thought and being kind of controversial that it is now. So highlighting the actual league itself, presenting it out to viewers that have been hesitant to really either join on board or participate or even be a part of understanding what it is. So that's the focus here. We're just a couple of guys going at it really with the mindset that we're here to learn, we're here to entertain, little info, comedy thrown in along the side, and really giving it 100% of our dedication throughout the entire process.
100% our dedication. And just to piggyback on that, Cole, I actually mentioned this to you before when we were discussing how we're going to fix everything in post. I don't really know that much about LIV, other than it seemed to really bother a bunch of nerds. So I'm excited along with everyone else to figure out what the hell's going on over there, wherever it is. I don't even
Yeah.
really know that, but
I mean, you know how professional golf works, though, as far
well,
as the PGA.
I looked into this because I know a lot of people are upset about LIV Golf. So I'm going to go over the rules of LIV Golf because it's confusing. Um, it's basically it's significantly different than PGA. It's like an alien sport. It must be because otherwise I couldn't figure out why everyone was so upset that an individual sport is just going to be played individually. So I looked up some of the rules of LIV and how it differs from the golf that we're used to. Number one, if it looks like I'm reading off something, I am, because I want to make sure I kept track of this. LIV Golf is played in rounds of 18 holes. Uh, each hole is given a goal score called par in LIV. Par represents the number of strokes a golfer is expected to make on that hole on the course. So every course has a par assigned to it. Most holes are either par 3, par 4, or par 5. So for example, if it's a par 4, a golfer is expected to take 4 strokes to get their ball in the hole. Now, in LIV, how do you get the ball in the hole? Well, each hole begins with a stroke from the teeing area, and when the golfer strikes the ball with a club, that's considered one stroke.
Yeah,
Golfers,
I gotta stop you. It just sounds like you're just describing the game of golf in general. You haven't really highlighted anything pertaining to LIV or really
well,
anything at all. You're just talking about the game as a whole.
no, not done yet. I mentioned clubs earlier. So in LIV, a golfer's clubs are stored in a golfer's bag, and those clubs usually consist of a driver, a putter, a mixture of irons and woods. And at the end of each round, the golfer or the team, depending on the format of the tournament, the golfer or the team with the lowest score, it's not like basketball, low score wins, they're considered the leader. And if they are leading at the end of the tournament, then they win. So that's pretty much the main difference between LIV and PGA, or the type of golf that everyone was defending so vehemently. Um, I think I've covered it. Is there anything else that I should know, or the listener should know about LIV? LIV.
Yeah, mean, there's a couple differences. You
Okay.
highlighted on none of them, but I appreciate the research going into it. But at the same time, there's been a couple different things with LIV with various other leagues out there. I mean, throughout this podcast series, we're going to be obviously focusing on LIV golf, but with its influence, impact, whatever you want to call it, on other leagues, and various, I would say, influential players from other leagues joining LIV. It's a very dynamic environment, so we'll be talking about all of those as well. I think the biggest thing to kind of highlight to some of the viewers out there is to just bring up some of the facts that kind of differentiate it from most leagues out there. So I wanted to pull up just kind of an infographic for a lot of folks, and this is already out of date as of our recording date today, which is January 30th. So at the inception of LIV, going into 2024, they wanted to have 12 teams of 4 players, leading to 48 individual players, 14 scheduled events, including championship events, both individual championship and team championship. What's unique about professional golf within LIV is this shotgun start. So, typically everybody is out at various holes on the course. Everybody starts at the same time, depending on the rounds themselves, length from anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. And there's zero zero gameplay cuts. Right now, for example, in PGA, you play on Thursday, you play Friday, you play Saturday, you play Sunday, encompassing 72 holes. Not everyone gets to be eligible to play all 72 holes. Right now in LIV, you play for 3 days. Everybody makes it through the cut, playing a total of 54 holes, hence the Roman numeral of LIV, meaning 54 holes total, which is also controversial in the professional golf. And frankly, this common golfer, weekend warrior golf too, I thought it was kind of interesting. People saying like, oh, they're only playing 54 holes. Have you ever, like, maybe on a golf trip over a long weekend or something, playing 54 holes? That's still very difficult for, I would say, the common person to really adjust to and understand. I don't know. Pete, have you ever played 54 holes in a row? It's a lot of golf.
No, actually, you know this. You and I go on multiple annual golf trips here, one of which we get to play unlimited golf,
Yeah.
Cronin's Resort. Shout out to Cronin's Resort. $150, 2 nights in a cabin, as much golf as you can play. I almost never make it to 54. It's too much golf for a guy like me. I'll
Yeah.
play 18, go to the pool, play 18 more, ride around for 9 holes, take a whack when I feel like it. But that's still a ton of golf. Also, as I go into this PGA LIV debate, and it sounds like I'm really one-sided. I don't really care, and I think that's the point. But no one can really watch 72 holes of golf as a spectator. Even if you go to the event, you're only getting it for one day. And if you don't go to the event, I mean, hopefully you have a job.
Yeah, that's the
They'll
other
even
thing
do on
too.
Thursday.
I think it makes it a little bit more manageable. I think right now within LIV Golf, the broadcast schedule, obviously, they started out the first season in 2022 on YouTube, and everyone really wondered what was going to happen there. CW Network, uh, for its various, Emmy award winning programs out there, decided to pick up LIV Golf, get into the live sports thing. But I think in 2024, they're only going to be broadcasting the Saturday and Sunday rounds. So they'll start on Fridays. You can watch by going on to different LIV networks, depending on where you live. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, you can catch it on CW TV. But at the same time, you're sacrificing 4, 5, maybe 6 hours if you're watching some of the highlighted events, both pre and post the round. But it's a much more manageable format as far as viewership goes.
The
Second thing,
CW, they're on the CW TV. That the same network that does like Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
yeah, great. I mean, I'm pretty
The
sure
good
they've
best
won at least 10, 12, 13 Emmys at this point,
minimum, yeah. Just for Buffy alone.
just for Buffy
Bones.
alone. Gilmore Girls, all the other greats. But the point is that you have an exclusive network that most people, I would hope, can at least access. You can still access it still on YouTube, because they don't want to cut out those early adopter viewers out there. I think that the other big thing that people had interesting feedback on was the zero gameplay cuts. Being able to look at this and say, okay, what's the point if everyone gets in no matter what? I mean, within PGA, you have sometimes 100, over up to 150 players at one time. Play Thursday, play Friday. You have the cut list there. Depending on how one individual plays, you get a large amount of guys that end up getting through. And then Saturday is that kind of moving day where the players in contention try to get up to the leaderboard as high and as fast as possible. And Sunday is the showdown. I think that the team dynamic as well kind of attracts to that common golfer, right? Everyone goes out on the weekend. You're playing in some kind of team aspect, whether you're playing, whether it's stroke play, match play, you're playing in a foursome, it's 2v2, whatever you're doing. So it's bringing that idea together. But as of today, there's 13 teams. John Rahm with the expansion team. We'll get into kind of what that looks like in just a little bit. But 13 teams, so 52 players now, still 14 events. The rules still apply. I think later on in episodes, we'll be bringing some of those teams and captains in for interviews. But, for now, kind of highlighting who the captains are and what that, kind of looks like. Anything you have to really give as far as feedback, Pete, on the format?
I'm a big fan of the zero gameplay cuts because that's getting cut mid-game because you're losing. It feels like it flies in the face against everything we know about sports. What if this past weekend when the 49ers just got cut because they were getting their ass kicked by the Lions? Sorry, you missed the cut. Halftime, we're just going to play inter-squad scrimmage. No, you can't do that. Everybody should get to play once you're in the tournament. And then it's better for two reasons. One, you could get a Cinderella story. Guy comes way back, wins the tournament, or you just see some guy that shoots like 37 over, just has a complete meltdown. Either way, it's really fun to watch.
That's a good point. It is really fun to watch. I think the obviously it's no secret that the PIF, the People's Investment Fund, or Public Investment Fund, is backed by Saudi Arabia. We're not here to really get into the whole politics of it. We're really just to kind of bring more knowledge and awareness to the people.
Right. They could be a potential sponsor, so we're not here to.
Right. And we'll get into who our sponsor is in just a little bit for now. But at the same time, we have to kind of focus on the game of play. Trying to enhance the league a little bit to the wider variety of player that again has shunned away from it. I'm guilty of this as well. I was like, firstly, what is this? What's going on? How is there so much money? What is this going to compete? Are they going to start pulling people away? But really, for me, it was seeing. Honestly, like John Rahm, kind of, everybody talks about him bridging the gap between all the leagues, and we have these mergers and we have conversations, but nothing has really come out, and leading to the league format now in 2024, second full year of the league. It's really evolving. I mean, things are changing constantly. There's a number of teams right now that don't even have a full squad going into the first weekend in Mayakoba, Mexico. So it's for me, it's something that is exciting and changing constantly, which keeps me engaged because I have the attention span of a gerbil. So we have to keep it
going. I also like that it's my problem with golf when we were growing up, and even now to this day, it kind of grinds my gears, is that they're really horrible at promoting it to the powers that be. Like Tiger Woods will be in a tournament, and you get some young kid who's winning, and the top headline on ESPN will be like, Tiger finishes with the birdie to finish +4, and he's like on the front page pumping his fist or with his head down. It's like, who else is playing? I don't know anybody else that's playing. I don't know any of the players because you're only talking about one guy. This is the most anyone's talked about golf in like 20 years. That's good. It's good for the game, grow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pete has one feeling about Tiger Woods. I think he's great. Tiger, if you're watching this right now, I love you. Give me a call.
Guest. We can talk it out.
We bring him on and talk it out. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But I think one of the other aspects of live that's debatably controversial is the fact that they try to bring more entertainment to the game as far as with musical guests. I think in Mexico this coming tournament, they're going to have the chain smokers, for example, making things a little too loud, a little too extra, if you will. I would love to see the chain smokers at a golf tournament.
Well, I think we might get into this, but um, it sounds like what we're describing
Probable.
is everything that guys like you and I love about golf. I don't like to go out and play golf. I don't like waiting around. Shotgun start seems to handle that. I like playing on a team. It makes everything more fun. And I'd say 90% of the people that we golf with have a speaker in the cart. That thing's
Sure.
going. It's just
Yeah.
it's fun atmosphere. It's anything they can do to make golf. That's I guess the part that I don't like is PGA fans or golf fans absolutely love the 17th hole at what is that in Arizona? Waste management.
Yeah.
People love
Yeah.
that. People love that hole. There's no problem with that. And it sounds like Liv is just saying we're going to do that, not quite that extreme, but the whole time. And I don't see how anyone wouldn't love that. Sounds awesome.
No, I agree. I mean, they're trying to put the fun back in fundamentals, right?
Yeah,
Um,
can't spell it
which which is
without it.
kind of key. So if you've been sitting under a rock recently, I think it's kind of important to talk about some of the spearheads as far as in the league go. Some of the again those early adopters. One of the I would say faces of the league, and we'll talk about why and general impact on it has got to be a guy by the name of Phil Mickelson, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, never met Phil. Hope to have him on the podcast soon. Phil, we'll connect you with our people, but um, it seemed to be a real turning on the proverbial faucet, if you'd say, of the PGA with players coming to the league. He's a current captain of the High Flyers Golf Club. Again, seems to be primarily focused on really growing the league, gaining partnerships, influencing other players in the league, really taking on the player look of live golf. And I really say this, to date since the 2022 season, pulling up some of the stats, he's yet to net an individual win, and his team, the High Flyers, is also yet to net a team win in the league to date. That being said, too, like you never know what's going to happen this season. I mean, if Phil's really grinding, and we all know how magical he is on a short game, I think that it could still happen. We just have to watch to see how it evolves.
High
But
High Flyers is a interesting team name, given that picture. Because another cool thing about Liv is that it appears, just based on this photo alone, that they don't drug test at all.
it does. Yeah, I don't know. I did research that and I didn't pick up anything on it. But
It looks like
the
either the camera flash was really bright, or Phil was just excited to cash that check, and I appreciate that about Phil. That's the thing we do know about Phil for a fact, is that he loves cashing those checks.
he does love cashing those checks. That is true. Yeah, I don't. I would like to gain a little more insight to the context of this photo. Um, but he's doing great. I think the flash probably brings up the fact that these guys are wearing a flat brim hat or just a hat in general most of their life. So
Yeah, I don't know
it's
if I'd
hard to
ever
get.
seen Phil's
It's hard to
forehead
get.
before.
Yeah, it's hard to get sun up there. I didn't even know he really had black hair. Um,
No,
another face of the league, Bryson DeChambeau. Again, entering the league in its inaugural season, 2022, bringing his team, the Crushers, GC, that which I think is very fitting given his personality off the tee, to a team championship actually in 2023. So after essentially two full seasons in the league, bringing his team straight ahead, actually holds um, one of the lowest scores on the course in 2023 as well. So obviously a very dynamic player. I don't even want to know controversial. I just think he's outspoken in things that you know people just that don't
well,
really appreciate.
we're learning that people in the golf world really don't like change. He's a big change guy.
Change guy.
Um, I don't know how I feel about him. I don't know how I feel about his vert in this picture. I'd like to know if he's going up or coming down. But he's fun. He's another guy. He's fun to watch. Who cares if he's controversial? He
Yeah,
swings kind of like we do when we know we just have one more ball left in the bag, but he does it every time.
that's a good point. I mean, I've seen videos of him at these long drive contests and everything like that, and I think I'm going to start incorporating the scream into
Yeah,
my follow through because I think it might
yeah,
help with my hip turn a little bit.
like
But
Serena Williams.
yeah, exactly. Right. Think
Uh,
Serena, think Bryson. Boom.
One thing that I've loved as we, doing some research on Live and going through this with you is the team names remind me of the movie Any Given Sunday when it was supposed to take place in the NFL, but they couldn't get the licensing rights, so they're just like the Washington Crushers or the Arizona Rattlesnakes or something. It's just really, I want to know who's coming up with the team names. Do they get to pick themselves, or do they just kind of pick out of a hat? Out of you get a list of like 25 created teams you get to choose from. I mean, Crushers sounds like it was his idea, but I could also see that just being an option and him paying off some other guys to make sure that he got it.
Again, it's we that's the point is that we have all these open ended questions like was it a Rolodesk? Was it on one of those prices right things that you just spin and wherever it landed you get it? I
Yeah,
think that, once Bryson, joins the show here probably in the next week or two, then we'll actually find out. But,
yeah, we get it.
you know, we'll leave those up to him.
To our
Um
producer, Uncle Sonny.
yeah, yeah, we gotta give him a call soon.
Yeah,
Um Next one on the docket, Dustin Johnson. Surprised he wasn't actually on the High Flyers, but also joining Live in 2022. Now, 2022 is also pretty interesting. You had teams, but you didn't really have teams. You mostly had individuals because it was so small. There was like 7 events. Now they're up to 14 this year. Um, he got the individual title in 2022. He's captain of a team called the Four Aces, leading the team as well to a team championship in 2022. So kind of making his mark on it. Obviously, winning a lot in the PGA Tour, coming over. Um, Guy kind of has this, I would say, jaunt of a walk that really, provides a lot of confidence on any viewer that may be laying down money on the line or just kind of wondering, does he have a steel bar somewhere on his back? Um, but
yeah.
again, when he comes onto the podcast, we'll be able to ask him that type of stuff, or maybe it's something he doesn't even think about. I don't know. I'm not there, living in
We
it day in and day out.
we've got a stacked first month of guest. It seems like. Hi, he is from the Four Aces. I was looking up to see if he was from Las Vegas or maybe Reno, Nevada. Turns out he's just
Mm.
from South Carolina, but he also seems like a guy, from what I've read, People Magazine, Golf Digest, spends a lot of time in Las Vegas and also is probably pretty ecstatic about the lack of drug testing. So, like you said, he probably should be on the high flyers. But it's good seeing him and Phil go head to head. I'm glad they're separated, but they probably should be connected at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully one day.
Wait,
You know, I,
before John Rahm came over, DJ has to have been the biggest get, the best player on the tour, I'd imagine, right?
I mean, winning in the first year that it was a league, and then his team winning in the first year, I would say yeah, definitely best get as far as skill wise, definitely popularity wise. Um, Borderline looks wise, but at the same time, kind of focusing back, he brings a lot of professional prowess to, I think his father-in-law is Wayne Gretzky, which is a
Yeah,
huge draw.
yeah.
So potentially being able to connect the dots as far as NHL sponsors, broadcast journalism, broadcast networks, into the thing, just call, FIL up and say, hey, gonna need a solid here,
Hey,
even if it's on the NHL network for half an hour at a time, 1 or 2 holes. We got to make this work. And knowing Wayne Gretzky the way that I do, I'm sure he came through on that. Probably put together very instrumental in the CW um, broadcast. So
let's get a picture of DJ without a hat next week so we can
okay,
see.
yeah, we'll see. I'll
Recurring
text his
segment.
team and see if they can send one in.
Recurring
Yeah,
segment. Uncle Sonny, the producer, can figure this out for us. We're just gonna
yeah.
show golfers from the eyebrows up. Part of
Just
we've
the
never seen, and we just have to guess. who it is.
We'll call it Feature the Forehead.
Yeah. Yep. It'd be 4 exclamation point head, like
Got
the
it.
golf term, which I mentioned earlier.
Like all the viewers get an insight as to the future of the podcast episodes. Bringing us up next here, Brooks Koepka. Another one, I think, he joining in 2022. He's going through a lot of injuries. Obviously featured in the Full Swing documentary. I assume if I were him, I probably wouldn't have liked how it was kind of portrayed. He was kind of like, "Woe is me, and my knee always hurts. I'm trying to play, and my life is so tough." But in reality, and then went to live, and then rumors had it he had second thoughts about it because of the kind of the regulations between leagues. But it turns out, doing very well. Team captain of the Smash Golf Club. Won on the LIV Tour in 2023 at LIV Orlando, 2022 at the LIV Golf Invitational in Jeddah, posting the lowest score on LIV Golf that year with a 62 on the very first day of the tournament. And from what I hear from people on the ground is that he always draws one of the largest crowds out there. So, he seems to be enjoying himself. Won the PGA championship last year. I was fortunate enough to be able to go. Out at Oak Hill in Rochester, New York, and still driving home, large crowds. People still want to see him do his thing. Just really focusing on progressing the game of golf and making it fun. I think one of the things that I always hear him say is that if he wasn't a pro golfer, he'd be a baseball player. He usually throws in a big old honking piece of chew in there while he's walking around, pretending he's walking out to home plate as he comes up to the tee box. So. I get it. It makes a lot of sense to me.
I actually had a different opinion than most on that Brooks Full Swing episode. I kind of liked him after that. He's trying something new with his hair. It was a little bit tough to swallow when he was being such a sad boy, like feet dangling in the pool in his ridiculous house. But he always tries to present himself as like such a tough guy. And it's kind of cool peek behind the curtain to see him really go through it. And then at that point, he was like playing so badly. I think shortly after that came out, that's when he got on a little bit of a heater. So, got to show yourself. Go to therapy, Brooks. Sounds like you did.
Does sound like you did. This next one of my favorite players of all time, not only because of his overall physique, but general hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Smith, this true golf icon, known for, wielding that mullet on the course, winning on the PGA Tour, the Open Championship at St. Andrews in 2022. Then what seemed like in a matter of days, it's probably a week or two, fighting off the media, talking about whether or not he was going to go, immediately transitions to LIV. Captain of the Ripas Golf Club, fulfilling really a stack of Aussie players, really alongside Cameron or Mark Leishman. Leish is nice.
Nice.
Longtime teammate during PGA events when they were able to pair up and on team events. Matt Jones, and 3-time DP World Tour winner and PGA event winner, a new team member, Lucas Herbert. And I really do, pulling up, trying to get a good news on Lucas. Our friends over here at Flushing It pulled this image from Lucas's win from the ISPS win in Japan, which also brings you to the fact, like, this is the type of individual that the LIV Golf sees as a valuable asset, to the league.
As they should.
As they should. This guy looks like he's a ton of fun. Great personality on the golf course.
Yeah, you need more of that. That's an incredible outfit that I'd like to bring to Cronin's maybe for the next champion.
So I'm kind of assuming that the samurai helmet is the trophy of the tournament.
I would imagine, and I would kind of hope for him. I would imagine this whole outfit is what's awarded to the winner. I don't think it would be that good for his career or his personal life if he showed up to the tour in Japan.
I mean, he might have played in it, but I don't think he You imagine the balance you'd have to have if you play with this huge samurai golden helmet on top of your
It kind
thing's
of
got to
looks
weigh.
like one of those pictures you put your head in, you know, like
Yeah, like a
like
good
a clown or like a lifeguard with a woman in a bikini. Like he's actually just kind of, maybe he's just standing there in a polo and some slacks, and that's just there all the time.
a good point. It does kind of look like that. Either way,
Yeah,
flushing it, great archive pick. Love that.
we
Um,
should maybe talk. I don't mean to cut you off there, but we've mentioned a lot of guys. You just mentioned the captain of the Rip is coming over after being on an absolute heater on the tour, and then pretty quickly they make the switch to live. So maybe you could shed some light. I think the answer is pretty obvious, but how exactly is live getting these golfers to go over?
I think there's a lot of speculation, right? That the dollar signs kind of equate to what's happening. You talk to a lot of these guys, and they're after a little while they do admit that obviously the money in the back pocket is nice. They want to build a legacy for their kids and their kids, which I can only imagine they do with the type of money that's being thrown around. Also, I haven't looked up every contract. For example, that I don't know what Lucas's contract is. I don't know what Leishman's contract is. I'm sure Leish's is nice,
Yeah,
but at the same time,
nice chunk of
you have
change.
to kind of think that the way that these players also are able to have co-ownership of their own teams. For example, the payout on the team format per tournament is $5 million if your team wins, which you only need the top three guys to cumulatively get the lowest score. Turn $5 million, even if you don't win the individual. So the other aspect of that is the team captain owns 25% of the winnings from that. Liv gets the other 75%, which I also don't really understand, but this is the point of why we're doing this podcast. Still learn.
You get
And
$5 million. The team gets $5 million. You get 25% of that $5 million. The team does, and then Liv gets 75% of $5 million.
yeah, which I don't really understand either. Like, are they just paying to pay themselves?
Fix that in post.
We'll fix that in post. But the point is that like, where does that money go after the winning? If Liv owns 75% of the team, and now there's also discussion about people being able to purchase into teams, like independent investors can say, hey, you know what, I'll take 15% of your team, or I'll take 1%. I mean, if I was the Shark Tank guys going down there, waltzing on down, and be like, hey, I'm the Ripper GC here, whichever the water, and
Yeah.
I want $100,000 for 15% stake in my team.
So you're
You never
saying
know.
I misunderstood you at first. I thought you were saying like if you and I had enough money, we could just hop on the uh the four aces like as a team member. You're saying we can invest in the cut.
You can be part owner. You can be part owner. It hasn't been flushed out yet, but that's what they're talking about eventually being down the line, is having outside investors being able to purchase like essential stock in a team as an owner.
Stock market
Could be
is
cool.
gambling is stock market. Makes sense.
Pretty cool. Pretty
I think it's
cool.
nice that you said they're interested in the co-ownership and the camaraderie, but they make a lot of money. Good
They
on
do.
them.
Yeah, they do. And maybe just like, maybe they like seeing the chain smokers in Mexico. And it's totally relatable. Maybe they like wearing shorts.
I love team golf is the best. Doesn't have to be four-man scramble, but it's nice because it's so frustrating. Most frustrating game in the world. You get a team, you can still kind of root. You can kind of just root for the game of golf. Partner hits a good shot, that's great. If you and I were playing against each other, you hit a great shot, I'd be furious.
I
Same team
find
though.
I find that at least in a team format, like I tend to care a little bit more because it's not just me that I'm playing for. I mean,
Yeah,
like if I hit a bad shot, it's like, all right, whatever. But if I'm in team format, I find that I've given and received the hardest high fives out there on the course. Maybe the fist pump. I might have broken a blood vessel in my forearm from fist pumping so hard during a team event. But I know a lot of I don't know a lot of people. I know a few people that refuse to play in team type formats, but
they were only children.
they're yeah they're strange. Yeah, there were only children. That's right. Last but not least, John Rahm. I think that
Oh, the bad
yeah,
boy of Live.
yeah,
What's it?
trading out
What's
the.
his team name? He probably doesn't have one yet.
He does have a team. Just announced today on January 30th when we filmed this podcast. Joined Live at the end of 2023. Obviously, coming off of one of his best years to date, winning the Masters, trading the green jacket for the Live Golf Letterman jacket.
Yeah,
Uh,
very cool.
and then just literally 2-3 days before the first event of the season, announcing his team, the Legion 13. I read a little bit about this today. Apparently, John Rahm is a bit of a history buff slash comic book guy. Dating back to this unit of the Roman Empire that basically was run by a group called Legion or Legio the 13th, and this guy was just going all across Europe, taking over everything, and that's what he's like, kind of getting his team mindset into. Um,
Pretty
bring
intense. I mean, the other guys are the Four Aces and the Crushers and the.
Yeah, Legion 13. It does
Oh,
seem to be a dominant force. He's recently brought over his buddy from the Ryder Cup team, Tyrell Hatton, Kieran Vincent, and really a rookie uh, out of Tennessee, Caleb Surratt. We're gonna make a lot of mistakes like this as far as
we'll get him on.
pronunciation goes.
He can clear
We'll,
it up for us.
we'll get it on. He can clear it up. I don't feel bad considering on the PGA Tour how many people were uh, saying Aberg's last name is Aberg when it's actually Aubert. So, and they only figured that out as soon as the Ryder Cup was played out in Europe, and all the Europeans were pronouncing it the correct way with
Yeah.
Aubert. But
If Jim Nance isn't going to do the research, then neither am I.
yeah, um, exactly. Very happy to present our podcast sponsor here on How We Live. It comes from a wink or a nod marketing. A wink or a nod marketing is actually a new boutique marketing agency specifically designed for small businesses. So if you are too busy or simply just don't know how to run social media, build a brand plan, or write copy, go to a wink or a nod.com.
Nice work. Thank you to them, and good job by you. Because I could kind of tell that you hadn't read that before, but you didn't get tripped up on boutique. Especially we were talking about how mispronouncing things. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Been a big proponent of boutique
Some
type
of these
stuff.
Live guys, some of those names that we've been talking about are really not good. So maybe they want to hit up our sponsor for some help.
Yeah. Yeah. Specifically on the team names. We'll get back to that. Speaking of team names, we're going into team names. So from kind of like left to right, working at a descending vertical, you have the Four Aces with Dustin Johnson, the Cliques with Martin Keimer, the Crushers with Bryson DeChambeau, the Fireballs with Sergio Garcia, the High Flyers with Phil Mickelson, working our way back up to the top of the middle row, Ironheads with Kevin Knott, Legion 13 with John Rahm, the Majestics with Ian Poulter, Range Goats with Bubba Watson, Ripper GC with Cameron Smith, Smash GC with Brooks Koepka, Stinger GC with Louis Oosthuizen, Torque GC with Joaquin Neiman. We didn't want to take up too much time on the first episode to kind of go into detail with all of these different teams as far as who's on it, who are the rising stars, who are the dominant players. We really wanted to highlight, obviously, who are the dominant players as of going into the 2024 season. And as the season progresses, I imagine, based off of the individual interviews and seeing who's really presenting themselves as a rising star, we'll have them on. We'll talk about that, how they got to that place. So, kind of looking ahead at the season here, wanted to present out what the season looks like as of right now. Again, talking about Live Golf, I feel like everything is so dynamic. We're trying to play catch up on so much. The news is coming out literally days before these events as to who's playing, who's not, where the event is being held. I mean, it might be in your very own backyard, so you wanna check these out. So within a couple of days here, we have the Mayakoba down in Mexico, moving our way through Las Vegas, obviously in Jeddah, Hong Kong, Miami, Adelaide, Singapore, Houston, Nashville, Andalusia, the United Kingdom, Greenbrier as well, leading up to the individual championship, followed by the team championship with dates later to come. I think it's kind of important to note here, as I was reviewing the dates, there's been obviously skepticism of competing tournaments with the PGA. I mean, obviously, with two leagues, they're going to have multiple dates that kind of conflict with PGA and other leagues that are out there right now. But one of the big things that kind of came to the forefront is that you don't have any overlap with any of the major tournaments. The Masters landing in just after the Miami date, PGA Championship landing just after the Singapore date. Then you have the U.S. Open getting started on June 10th. Then the Open Championship in July 15th. So still leaving the door open for LIV Golf players who have either won at those tournaments to go and play in the majors. And so I kind of see that as a way really opening up to the two leagues communicating amongst one another and actually saying, hey, let's try to make this work so that everybody can kind of join in on the fun. So that's kind of the evolution again. Like, I don't think as of right now, the foreseeable future, that LIV Golf is really going anywhere. And the two leagues are at least in communication. If not collaborating on certain aspects of both leagues.
Yeah, and we get a little golf trip ourselves coming up, right? Sandwiched in between Miami and Adelaide. Maybe we'll institute some LIV Golf rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll probably be filming out there. We'll be down in San Antonio, in between both those two tournaments, just playing. We were invited out there, so we wanted to. We'll probably do a little bit of a podcast filming on location. Can't really reveal where we're going to be just yet, but coming in due time. But I think we've taken up essentially enough of people's time at this point. Pete, what do you think? We really hope that everyone had a chance to learn, maybe had a chance to kind of reflect on their own mindset and where they're going in here, kind of going into the 2024 LIV Golf season, and trying to anticipate. Just think outside the box a little bit. Do you hate shorts while you're playing? Probably not. You probably play in shorts the majority of your play, and if you're not, it's because it's too cold out. Do you hate the chain smokers? Probably not. And if you do, it's because you haven't dedicated enough time to really listen to the lyrical artistry of
the whole catalog. Yeah.
So wanting people to kind of think outside the box, to really dig deep into what matters most while they're out there on the golf course this coming weekend, or if you live in the northern part of the country or hemisphere, then this is really what you're looking forward to. So feel free to tune in this weekend on the CW on Saturday and Sunday. See what life is like in Mayakoba in Mexico, and enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself, everybody.
My name's Colby Etten with the How We Live podcast. Pete, thanks a lot for joining us.